Hey guys, it's Jordan here with Koda's Canine Academy. Today I was going to be making the boys food for the next week or two, so I thought I'd go ahead, hop on, make a video just in case any of you guys were considering maybe switching to a raw diet. For those of you that are not aware, I have fed my dogs a raw diet for quite some time. Just like with the human body, I'm a very strong believer that what you put into your body is what you get out of it, right? So if you put nothing but trash in your body all the time, like, you're probably going to struggle and have a lot of health issues. I believe the same thing with my dogs. I would much rather spend more money to feed them than spend more money at the veterinarian. I did feed my dogs regular kibble for a little while, and I can tell you without a doubt, their moods were not as consistent. Their energy would spike and fall a lot more. They pooped probably twice as much as they do when they eat a raw food diet. Their poop and farts also smelled a lot worse, believe it or not. Their skin was always flakier and drier. Their coats were more dull. Their nails didn't grow as fast, which was probably the only nice feature. You know that if hair and nails are not shiny and bright, or like if their nails aren't growing, you know that they're probably not getting a very nutrient-rich diet. Hence why women, especially, take collagen and stuff like that, make their hair, skin, and nails beautiful, because if those three things are healthy, odds are it's a pretty good diet, right? So when in doubt, that's always a good rule of thumb, looking at your dog, looking at how shiny and soft their coat is. Obviously, for some breeds, that means different things, but if you've ever touched a healthy coat versus an unhealthy coat, you will know that there's a noticeable difference no matter what breed of dog it is. The second thing is like their nails. If you're not cutting your dog's nails at least once a month, odds are they are not on a very healthy diet. The other thing is if you notice a lot of energy spikes, like if their energy spikes really high after they eat and then it crashes, or if it seems like your dog is just pooping like an oh my god excessive amount, odds are their food is just full of fillers and there's not a ton of nutrients, so their body isn't absorbing as much of that food as what you would think. Especially if you're feeding a lot of kibbles. If you look on the bag and the first ingredient is corn or meat byproduct or any kind of starch, that food probably is not very nutrient rich. My recipe varies a little bit here and there depending on where I'm shopping at the time and what's available, also the portion sizes, right? But without a doubt, my food is always going to have the following ingredients in it, as I said, sometimes in varying amounts. First thing that we're going to put in there, brown rice. Where I was shopping at, they didn't have any of the big bags of the brown rice, and I didn't feel like spending 3 times as much to get the original, so I got the instant. But brown rice is an amazing source of carbohydrates, very low in fat, and it's also loaded with thiamine, magnesium, and zinc, all which are very important for maintaining proper body health. So this is a great source of carbs. If you don't have brown rice, barley is another really good option. I use barley sometimes as well. On that note, I add sweet potatoes to mine anyways. That way I don't have to put as much rice in there as what I normally would, but another great source of carbohydrates. And sweet potatoes are also loaded with a bunch of other good stuff like vitamin C, iron, vitamin A, and calcium, all of which are very good for your dogs, and these are considerably lower calories than the rice itself. Next, it's going to be carrots. Not only do my dogs love carrots, you can freeze carrots and give them to them as a snack even. My dogs enjoy that as well. But carrots are a great source of vitamin A for your dog. They're a little bit sweet. They're also a healthy form of carbohydrates. Next, I'm going to do at least probably 2 dozens of eggs. I know that seems a little crazy, but eggs are an amazing source of protein, of fat. I double dip on the eggs and I actually use the shells. So at least an entire dozen of the eggs I'm going to throw right into a blender, shell and all, blend it up, and then use that to make scrambled eggs. A lot of times I'll throw spinach in there too. The shells in here are absolutely loaded with nutrients like calcium, which is extremely important for your dog. Then I'm going to use ground beef. The reason why I like to use ground beef instead of chicken, A, prices right now. Somehow for the first time in our life, like ground beef is less expensive than chicken. B, I will switch up the protein all the time. I'm not going to consistently use the same thing. I'm going to go for whatever's on sale or whatever is cheapest. If I'm using chicken instead of ground beef, you're going to have to use more chicken as well because it's lower in calories. It's also lower in fat and protein. So just make sure that you're keeping that in mind and adjusting accordingly based off of what protein you are using. Next, I'm going to use bone broth. Bone broth is another great way to add more protein to their diet without necessarily a bunch of calories or having to spend a bunch more money on meat. So bone broth is delicious. And next is green beans. So anybody who's ever been to the vet and or had a mildly overweight dog knows that green beans are highly recommended for dogs. They're great for them just like they are great for us. And green beans are like one of my favorite fillers to use in my dog food because it gives your dog the illusion that they're eating more food when in fact it's super healthy for them. So load them up on some greens. Next, I'm going to add some spinach. Spinach is a superfood. Enough said, it's got calcium, potassium, vitamin C, vitamin A, folate, iron, vitamin D. And a ton of good dietary fiber. Spinach, if you don't take advantage of spinach, you should. So then, if you're not going to use these two seasonings here, so I'm also going to add thyme and basil. These ones are from Tybo Farms. They don't necessarily have to be from here. Thyme and basil. And the reason why I'm going to use thyme, I'm an idiot. It's not thyme, it's thyme. Good times, y'all. Anyways, thyme is a natural herb that can boost your dog's digestive and respiratory health. It's rich in vitamins A, C, and K, whose antioxidant properties can help a dog's immune system and reduce free radicals in the body. It contains iron, manganese, iron, and calcium to improve the skeletal system. Huh, I wonder if they're aware that they have iron on there twice. LOL. So, basil is an anti-inflammatory and contains a high level of antioxidants that help prevent many illnesses. It also helps prevent cellular damage, calms anxious dogs, and eases joint pain. So, between those two, they're absolutely friggin' loaded with good stuff for your dog. 10 out of 10 recommend putting it in your food. If you don't want to use thyme or basil, I would recommend adding at least one other vegetable that can help reduce like inflammation in the body. Cauliflower is an example of one of those. Cabbage is another one of those. If you're not going to use these, I would also recommend putting like blueberries in there because blueberries are actually fantastic for dogs. They're also loaded with antioxidants, good for reducing free radicals, all that kind of stuff. But thyme and basil are a lot cheaper. As I kind of get things going, I'll bring you guys back in so you can see, but there's a lot of cutting and a lot of prep work that goes into it, so I don't want to waste your guys' time with that. But I'll be back soon so I can show you what the next steps are. I went ahead and cooked my ground beef. That way, keep in mind, depending on your access to fresh meat, you don't even have to cook it. Dogs are perfectly fine processing and eating raw meat. It's actually better for them because you lose nutrients the more that you cook it. So, if you have access to it readily and it's something where you can give them fresh meat every day, by all means, do it up. However, it's a little bit harder for me right now. Hoping to kind of change that soon. While I did that, I also went ahead, cooked my rice. So my rice is also good to go. Just waiting on my vegetables now. So what I did was when I drained the ground beef, I went ahead, just left some of the grease in the pan. And then these are my carrots and sweet potatoes cut up with the bone broth in there as well. The bone broth is not only going to help give them nice flavor, but it will create a nice steam to help them cook a little bit faster. Notice how I left the pieces decently sized. My dogs have no problem with this. They've also been eating a raw diet for a long time. So if you have a dog that's maybe just starting out, you might want to start with slightly smaller pieces, but once they get used to it, I guarantee you they won't care. I also left the skins on them Obviously, with some humans, like, we wouldn't want to eat the skins, especially if they're a little bit dirtier. But keep in mind, like, dogs eat poop. So if there's a little bit of dirt on their sweet potatoes, it's not that big of a deal. And the skins are absolutely loaded with nutrients. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to continue to boil them for a little while, let them get a little bit softer. Then once they're maybe like a third of the way done, I'll go ahead and put my green beans in there. That way they can get cooked. And then when they're about 2/3 of the way done, I'll go ahead and add my spinach. That way all of my vegetables are kind of getting finished up right around the same time. And then the eggs will be cooked separately and added in. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like. I might blend up some of the spinach in there too, so I'll show you what green eggs look like. All right, guys, so we're back here. Everything is pretty much done. I finished cooking up the eggs with the spinach, and currently I am divvying it out into my bowls. As you can see, my eggs, those are the eggs and the spinach that were blended together. And then I went ahead and fried them just like scrambled eggs. I have found that especially if you have a gassy dog, for whatever reason, eggs make them stink less if you pan fry them than if they were like hard boiled or something like that. Also, please do not mind our kitchen. It is under remodel. But anywhooser, then I have the rice and green beans, sweet potatoes, carrots, in with the bone broth. That is all finished cooking. It's all good to go. So as soon as I finish divvying out the meat, then I'm just gonna go ahead and fill these containers the rest of the way with that mixture, and then we'll be good. So keep in mind, guys, when you are divvying out your food like this, dogs, just like humans, like, it does not matter if they have the exact amount of like proper whatever every single day, okay? Like, is it ideal? Yeah, but if you don't have like the perfect blend of everything and every single serving of their food, it's not going to be a big deal, okay? Dogs are very similar to humans in that instance, where like we're looking for like balance throughout the week, right? So, you know, if Monday, maybe you're a little like protein deficit, but you're like heavy on carbs, maybe Tuesday you'll go a little heavier on the protein, a little less on the carbs, whatever. It's all about balance, just like everything else in life. Same with these dog foods. So, you know, if once I get this like carbohydrate mixture in there, if they, you know, if it's really, really crazy off balance measure, then I might try to do something about it. But if there's just like the ratio seems like a little bit off, I'm not going to be too worried about it. But I went ahead and filled those bins up about halfway with protein, and now each one of them is getting about 4 cups of the mixture to start, and then I'll just keep divvying it out until it's gone. And down here to the end. It's gonna get a little bit more because it's a bigger bowl. And blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we have all of our meats and vegetables and rice mixed, cooked, and combined. Last thing we're gonna do, gonna season it up for them. So I'll take my thyme, sprinkle it nicely over top. Do the same thing with the next one and the next one. And we'll just throw that in there. And we'll take our basil, do the same thing. And the same thing. All right, fantastic. So, my friends, now all I have to do, mix it up to combine the protein in with all the carbs and those yummy seasonings. And wham bam, thank you ma'am. You have some super incredibly delicious, homemade, healthy, and nutritious dog food for that little guy at home that you love most. And no, I'm not talking about your husband. LOL, just kidding. No, I'm not. We all love our dogs more. It's fine, you can say it. My boyfriend knows it. He asked me one day, would you really leave me for your dog? I laughed in his face. I was like, I can't believe you even think that that's a serious question. Yes, I would leave you for them. Ooh, good times, good times. So, anyways, there we go. There's our finished product. Super delicious, homemade, healthy dog food.